Previously on My Hero Academia.
変だが本物だ。マークしとけ。
イレイザー？イレイザーじゃないか。テレビや体育祭で姿は見てたけど、こうして直で会うのは久しぶりだな。こうしようぜ。
しない。
しないのかよ。
相変わらず絡みづらいな、ジョーク。
What's going on, everybody? Sean Ross here, and welcome back to the channel, guys. I have right here episode 16 for season 3 of My Hero Academia, episode 54 in total. And I'm just pumped and excited to dive into this episode and just watch the superhuman ability of Dodgeball take place within this episode, because that is basically what is going down. This is Dodgeball with now Quarks involved, and I just want to see the utter chaos as Class 1A is fighting their way through this first round of the provisional license exam. It's going to be utter mayhem, and I'm gonna love it. But with last week's episode, we come to learn about a certain tradition that happens at every single provisional license exam, and that is the crushing of UA, where we see all these other students from these other pro hero schools. They team up together and they go after UA students right out of the gate, because thanks to the sports festival, they are now well aware of these students' quirks, their fighting styles, and their weaknesses. They did their homework, they analyzed their opponents, and they are walking into this exam with a huge leg up. That is something that UA and Class 1A does not have, but it's a good thing they have Aizawa as their homeroom teacher and the one training them, because he was able to put them through intense training and allowing them to create their ultimate moves, because now they are on par with the second years taking this exam. Plus, we also got introduced to a whole bunch of new characters from the schools of Shiketsu High and Ketsubutsu High. We had Inasa from Shiketsu, the boy with burning passion, and just basically Ida cranked up to 11. And then we have Shindo from Ketsubutsu High, who's like the troll. He's the pretty boy that likes to play nice but will stab you in the back if it gives him an advantage. I know we got to see the other students from both of these schools, but we didn't really get much of them with last week's episode. But I have a feeling we will be seeing a lot more of them being put on full display within this episode, and that has me very excited. Plus, everything with Miss Joke interacting with Aizawa last week, I absolutely love. So I'm excited to dive into this episode, but before I do, guys, check the links down below in the description box to Crunchyroll, Funimation, and to Verve to check out the official release and to support the series. But with all that being said, guys, let's dive into episode 16 of season 3 for My Hero Academia, entitled Shiketsu High Lurking. Let's go, guys. All right, the action's picking up.
攻めたもん勝ちな印象を受けるけど、これ違うね。違くない？
Yeah, you just need to swoop in and steal that last target.
先着100名という言葉に惑わされ、焦って取りに行くと返り討ちに遭うぞ。
Work stiffening. Shiku. So he hardened the balls. That sounds very weird. And then we have Android 17 and Saitama's love child right here. He's very into this. Target locked on. And he threw the balls underground with boomerang crescent moon trajectory. And they can't see where they're coming from. Oh, Jiro's getting time to shine with her new costume upgrades. Oh, that's cool. Using her vibrations to go underground. It's like magnitude in Pokemon in a way. Now this is a team up you wouldn't expect with Mineta and Ashido, considering, you know, how perverted Mineta is. Yeah. Everyone's using their ultimate moves now. That's a weird quirk, honestly, to have your upper body condensed down into your lower body. Quark telescopic. I know some people are gonna be into that. Oh, Shindo gets to shine now. Yeah, here we go. Oh, that looks awesome. He's using Earthquake. And it is super effective. He's dispersing Class 1A. They're getting separated. Yo Shindo, Quark Vibrate. But his weakness is that it affects his body as well. We have a cowgirl and some Kunoichi. Here we go. Wind's picking up. All of the balls are now flying in that direction. Oh, that looks cool. And they're playing his theme. They're playing Inasa's theme. Our passionate Inasa. Yeah, he's got all of your balls. It sounds so weird to say. But look at that. They're all coming flying at them. It's a hurricane. And he's hitting all the targets. He's the first one to pass. And he knocked out 120 people in a single strike. Recommendations for a reason. Damn, Inasa. But it makes you wonder, why did he deny that acceptance into UA? If he's that good. Yeah. Alone, you're a target. You need to regroup with Class 1A, Deku. You can just feel how chaotic this entire environment is. Yeah, you're fighting against good people, Deku. Camie has arrived, and she knocked out one of Deku's targets. Here she is, ladies and gentlemen, Camie. Oh, I like her voice. Camie. Oh, man. Oh, I'm excited. This is going to be awesome. Ooh, that's smart, throwing the rock and then the ball. That's a really good strategy. But she's gone. Right behind you, Deku. Oh man, this girl's good. Camie is good. And she's gone again. Behind him again. And she pushed him down. Oh man. Oh man. They have some good shots with Camie. But damn, she is very interested in Deku. There you go, Deku. Oh, we have more people coming into the fight. Dodge, Deku, dodge. Ochiko. Huh. She has her helmet back. Uh-oh. Oh, man. I love what they're doing with the shoot style, with Deku using his legs, launching himself towards Ochiko, catching her. Ooh, that's a nice shot. And Deku using his legs. I love this. These new Iron Souls are a great addition to his costume. Deku would always save you, Ochiko. Ooh, they're playing like romantic music right here. The way they adapted this, it's so good. He slaps it out of her hand. I love how they romanticized it. That looks so good. Yeah, Deku saw right through it. Uraraka has been training with her quirk. But also, she has her mask back, and she doesn't have any scrapes on her body. Camie! Camie was disguised as Ochako. And she's even more obsessed about Deku now. Can't we do this after the exam? And she's just completely naked. Oh man, Deku now has to fight her while she has no clothes. But yeah, the way they're censoring it, it just basically looks like a giant white tan line on her body. I mean, I understand they have to censor specifically this scene. I've been wondering how they would do it. But damn, the white is very, wasn't thinking they would do that. Ochako almost got her. Oh man, so many people are gonna freeze on that frame. Camie even points out to Ochako how much Deku knows about her. My god, the shots they're using for her. Yeah, she doesn't have her targets. But now Deku doesn't know. It's like, hey, are you guys real too? Sarah's asking her if Camie was naked while disguised as Ochako. Oh, someone's going for Todoroki. Ooh, they're playing the cavalry battle music. But who are these guys? Why do they look like ninjas from Naruto? They got the headbands. Is this the hidden leaf? The mist? Who is this? So our provisional license exam just turned into the tuning exams. He has a screw? Or a nut? Ooh, that's an interesting quirk. You can make tiny things big. So he just grabbed a whole bunch of tools. That's cool, actually. And it's making its way through the Todoroki's fire with ease. These Naruto filler ripoffs aren't half bad. Okay, this is cool. This is new. But Todoroki, come on, he's gonna win against these. They're fodder. So, okay, that's the ending of the episode. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that right there is episode 54 for My Hero Academia, and this is kicking us off into the very first round of the provisional license exam, which basically, in a nutshell, is a battle royale dodgeball with superpowers. This is dodgeball with quirks, where anybody can go after anybody, even someone from your own school can try to take you out. But from what we are seeing within this episode, we get to see the students from Shiketsu High and Ketsubutsu High teaming up together and trying to go after the students of UA, but we get to see Class 1A hold their own within this episode, getting to see them working together as a team, as a unit, but once they get separated, that is when their merit is tested and getting to see how they can handle themselves on their own. So this was a very action-oriented episode. We got to see how badass and how good Inasa actually is, and I think everybody enjoyed the section that we got with Deku going up against Camie. Camie, I think, is going to be now a fan favorite amongst the anime onlys, and we had some great moments with her. within this episode. But even though this was mainly an action-oriented episode, I did kind of feel that we had a lot of flashbacks during this episode. It's something I just noticed, it didn't really bother me, but whenever Deku was analyzing situations or thinking back to other moments from past episodes, it tended to pop up a lot, and it's just something I noticed within this episode, but it didn't really take away from me the amount of action that we had within this episode. But talking about the adaptation for episode 54 or episode 16 for this season, this covered the manga chapters of 104 and 105, but they also ended up adapting about 7 pages from chapter 106. But even though these chapters were adapted into this episode, we also ended up getting some anime original content by the last section within this episode. And if Studio Bones is planning to expand upon certain aspects of this arc, I am all for that, and I was kind of expecting it going into the provisional license exam because you can kind of compare this to what we got back in season 2 during the internship episode, the Froppy episode, because a majority of the content that they had within that episode was mentioned in the manga, but we didn't get to see it on the panels or on the pages. They were just mentioned. So if they plan to do that to certain aspects of the provisional license exam arc, to stuff that was either mentioned or just occurred, and we did not get to see it, and they expand upon that, I am all for that because I prefer the anime filler in My Hero Academia than to other animes because you can have 20, 30, maybe even 50 episodes of filler and it doesn't matter to the overall plot of the story. But I was honestly not expecting this original content to bring us into the world of Naruto. We come to find that Todoroki is about to square up against some Naruto fodder ninjas. Todoroki, I know, is trying to pass the provisional license exam, but if you just screen cap that section where he's staring back at the ninjas, it makes it seem like Todoroki is also trying to pass the Chunin exams as well. So now we have ninjas in the world of My Hero Academia, and I don't think they go to Shiketsu school or Ketsubutsu school, but they have the matching outfits, they have different colors, but they are wearing headbands that are very reminiscent of what they wore in Naruto. But it doesn't matter what village they come from, hidden in the leaves, hidden in the mist, sand, sound, waves, it does not matter because they are scrubs and stepping stones for Todoroki. I think we all are well aware that these fodder characters are just in the way of Todoroki passing, and he's going to make very quick work of them. Though I will honestly say that the quirk of that one individual that can make small objects big, that was a very unique power to see because he's throwing washers and nails and they are very accessible to just have in your pockets. I wouldn't say the nails because they are very sharp, but he can just throw them and make them big. And that was just a very unique thing to see with the ending section of this episode. But that's really all that really needs to be said with Todoroki about to square up against those ninjas. Odds are we will see more of that in the next episode, but let's actually talk about the canon characters and the new quirks that we got to see on full display during this episode. So the first group of students that we get to see on full display during this episode are the 4 from Ketsubutsu High. We have Shiko, the blue rock looking guy, Itajiro, the Android 17 / Saitama lookalike, Tatami, the girl with the sharp teeth and blonde hair, and then of course Shindo, the older looking Deku, the pretty boy that has the black hair. And I love the way that Studio Bones animated their quirks, and just showing them off was really cool to see. So with Shiko's character, he has the quirk of stiffening to where any non-living object that he molds and scrapes within his hand ends up becoming hardened. And I know this sounds very weird to say, but he really did harden those balls during this episode to make them more impactful, make them have more of a punch as they were being thrown at Class 1A. But the one that really did impress me came from Itajiro. I love the way that he was animated, the way that he was just catching the balls like this and then started doing the poses as he was getting ready to use his boomerang quirk to lock onto its targets. He throws them and they go underground, still heat seeking after the targets that he locked onto. He really did impress me during that section. But a little fun fact for the anime onlys, this is the first time we are learning this character's name. We did not know it in the manga until this very episode. But moving on to Tatami, we get to see her use her quirk of telescopic, of retracting the upper half of her body down into her hips. She basically looked like a turtle poking her head out of its shell, but this is a really useful quirk to be using within this situation because if she places the targets on the upper half of her body and then retracts her body down into her hips, nobody can hit those targets, and they can't really disqualify her for doing that because that is how her quirk is being used, and that is just a really unique quirk to see being used during this exam. But then we finally move on to Shindo, and I loved getting to see how Studio Bones animated his quirk of Vibrate, to where he basically used the Pokemon move of Earthquake to shatter the ground and to disperse every single student of Class 1A. I love the way that it was animated, and he kind of combated what Jiro did during that section. Jiro got a fantastic moment to shine during this episode. We got to see the upgrades to her costume, to where she put the speakers down into the ground and kind of used the Pokemon move of Magnitude, a weaker version of Earthquake, to shatter the direction that those hardened balls thrown by Android 17 was coming at them. That was a really nice moment to see from Jiro, but then also we had a brief moment of Ashido saving Mineta. We don't see that all too often, to where we see a girl saving Mineta, the most perverted character of this series. It's just a nice moment to see that, you know, taking away the perverted nature, these are just two students in the same class protecting one another, and that was just a really nice thing to see displayed during that episode. I loved everything during that beginning section, but then this all leads into Class 1A being dispersed, and this does eventually lead into Deku running into Camie. But first and foremost, we have to talk about what Inasa did during this episode. Our boy Inasa, the man with burning passion, demonstrated within this episode that he is a powerhouse, not to be messed with, and that there is a reason he got accepted into UA via recommendation, because he made a lot of these people absolute fodder within this episode. The cowgirl, the Kunoichi, all these people standing on the ground had their throwing balls ripped away from them out of their hands by this gigantic windstorm made by Inasa. We see all the balls floating in the air, and he just hurls them right back down at them, hitting all of their targets. And we come to find out that one person, Inasa, eliminated 120 examinees. They failed. They are out of this exam. That right there was crazy to see, and it just goes to show that this man is no joke. He only needed to eliminate 2 people, but he went above, he went plus ultra, and went and got an extra 118. Do not sleep on Inasa moving forward, but now you gotta be asking yourself the question, if this man got accepted into UA, a school that he absolutely loves because he went in on the plus ultra motto scream last episode, why would he deny that? Why would this man who loves UA deny the acceptance into UA? Definitely keep that question in the back of your minds. But now it's time to move on to the main event of this episode, to where we got to see Deku go up against Camie. And we got to see Camie in all of her fantastic glory. This is one of the moments that I've been waiting to see adapted into the provisional license arc, and Studio Bones did not disappoint. Even excluding the fan service, I love what they did with Camie, and I love the voice actors, I love the sound of her voice, and I'm very curious to see how Camie is going to sound once we get to this moment in the dub. But this girl, Camie, is not to be messed with, because she immediately comes in and gets one of the targets on Deku, and then starts to hold herself one-on-one against Deku. But then we begin to question, what is this girl's ability? What is her quirk? Because we see her throw a rock and ball at Deku to distract him, and once he looks away for a very brief moment and goes to look back, Camie disappears and then reappears right behind Deku, trying to snag very sneakily one of his targets. So I love getting to see that, because it makes us question, like, what is this girl's quirk as we're going throughout the episode? But then we also come to find out that this girl is crazily obsessed with Deku. I love that sequence when she's holding Deku down and just starts asking him questions. Why do you want to be a hero? For pride? For honor? I want to learn more about you. And I think the animators had a lot of fun with that section, because we had some very unique poses going on right there. So this cat and mouse game continues throughout this episode with Deku and Camie, and then we do eventually lead into the section with the fake Ochiko. And I really do like that within this episode, there are subtle hints to let us know that this is in fact a fake Ochiko that Deku is saving, because she's wearing her helmet and doesn't have any scrapes on her body as we saw earlier on during this episode. But I loved getting to see Deku rush in, utilizing his shoot style to save this Ochiko, but it's once they are hiding behind that rock and they're kind of playing up the romanticized feelings that Ochiko has for Deku, as we saw in the previous episodes, and they're playing the music, she's staring at Deku, but then that look comes over Ochiko's face where she's staring at the target. She has the ball in her hand, and as soon as she's about to touch it, Deku just immediately turns around and slaps it out of her hand, because he knew this whole time that this was a fake Ochiko that he ended up saving, because Ochiko would not be dumb enough to walk into a situation and not have a plan moving forward. So Deku really does know Ochiko very, very well, and even Camie ends up stating that as she ends up dissolving back into herself, but ends up dissolving completely nude. And I know a lot of people were very happy to see that, though this section was censored, and I was expecting this section to be censored to where they kind of just gave her a white tan line all over her body, and that was very funny to see. But I do believe that when this does get released for the DVDs and Blu-rays, that censorship will be gone. But to cap off this section, we have Sero and Ochiko jumping into this situation to drive Camie away and to assist Deku. Camie ends up retreating to go find where her clothes are, because she can't be running around nude this entire time. And now we have our group of Deku, Sero, and Ochiko formulating a plan on how they can pass this exam, because currently, by the ending of this episode, 54 people have passed, which means there are 46 slots left in the top 100 to move on to the next round. So overall, this episode was very enjoyable. I love the action that we got. I really did enjoy the stuff that we had between Deku and Camie, getting to see Inasa being a badass. But right now, I am very much looking forward to see what episode 55, episode 17 next week has in store for us. So with that, guys, that is my reaction and review to episode 16 for season 3 of My Hero Academia. But now I definitely want to hear your guys' thoughts on this episode. What were your positives? What were your negatives? And what was your favorite moment from this episode? And what did you think about Inasa and Camie within this episode? Leave your thoughts down in the comments below. And if you guys want to talk more about My Hero Academia outside of YouTube, feel free to follow me on Twitter. We have a lot of fun talking about My Hero Academia, though I do want to warn the anime onlys, I do also talk about the manga. So if you guys do not want to spoil yourself, then don't follow me. But if you guys want to, a link can be found in the description down below. That's going to do it for me here, guys. So until next week, when we have episode 17 of season 3 for My Hero Academia, episode 55 in total, I'll talk to you guys next time. But remember, go beyond plus ultra.